Hi, it's Lucy here, and today I'm excited to play with this paper collection. I'm also using this Slimline die. All these items I'm using today are from Uniquely Creative, and I'll have links to them all below in the description. I'm going to use this one piece of 12 by 12 paper, and firstly I'll die cut some items out. I'm going to create 5 cards using just this sheet plus some embellishments. I also have a couple of bonus cards I'll show at the end too using this kit. The first card I'm going to make is a slimline card. I'll mix the circles up a bit so they don't match up, and I'll turn them around until I like the composition. I'll add some double-sided tape to the background paper, but I'm going to lay the circles flat using some glue. The measurements to this card is 8.8 centimeters by 21 centimeters, and Uniquely Creative Slimline dies match this size perfectly, so they're really easy to create great cards. I'll then go ahead and start layering the embellishments. I've fussy cut this bird, but I'm going to redo it without the white border this time. I try to move the paper rather than the scissors. I'm going to arrange all the flowers and the bird in a big lovely cluster around the sentiments. I've made this card for my aunt's birthday. I'll add some of the vellum stickers underneath and peeking out the ends as well. We call these vellum creative cuts if you're looking for them on the website. If you don't have this paper and the items I've used, you can purchase them in the link in the description below, or you can see what you have in your stash to create a similar design but with different items. I've cut one of the flowers in half as well, as I only need that much peeking out, and I'm going to curl up some of the leaves with just my fingers for a more natural look too. To take the backing off the vellum, the easiest way is to use your finger or thumb and roll one edge, and then it easily peels off. Once I'm happy with the arrangement, I'll go ahead and I'll stick everything down. To make the birthday sentiment stand out a bit more, I'll doodle around the edges, and then I'll also doodle around the edges of the card where there aren't any flowers. You can use a ruler if you want straight edges, or you can scribble them around like I've done here. And here's the finished card, which I think looks really lovely. I think to finish it off, I'll just add some white Nuvo drops just in some of the little blank areas. But otherwise the card is done, and we'll go on to the next card. I've already die cut the rectangle out. You can create the rectangle with your trimmer if you don't have the die cuts. I'm also going to use the Sizzix Sentiment die set, and I'll have a link to that below under the scrapbook.com items. I need to decide which accent colour I want to use, as silver and gold both will complement the purple, but I decide on the gold as I think it'll stand out a little more against the lighter shades on the paper. I'll add double-sided tape to the gold paper as I want the sentiment to be adhesive. I lost some video footage here, but I decided to keep showing this card as not too much was missed. I added the bit of gold to the card, and I have added scrap white card underneath the designer paper so it's level with the gold card. I deliberately ripped the designer paper, and I'm going to use both parts of it. I want just a smidge of the gold peeking through, so I cut some of the torn bit off on the left hand side. That way it's left the gold gap. I wanted to add this bit of gold so that it's not just the sentiment in gold. I'll ruffle up the edges of the papers so it gives a real torn look to it. I did actually die cut the sentiment again with white card and layered it under the gold for added height too. I'm adding some gold markings to the card, but I feel like it needs more than that, so I'll swap to adding some glossy accents instead, and I'll give the little bird a glossy eye. I need to add the tittle on the eye, but I lost it, so I'll use a tiny gold pearl instead. Then I'll add glitter over the glossy accents for a beautiful sparkle, but I'm going to be careful not to add the glitter to the bird's eye. I usually add some scrap paper under where I'm glittering as it's so messy, but I forgot this time. I can get some of the excess glitter off straight away, but I'll wait until the glossy accents is dried before trying to remove any of the glitter that's still sitting on the card. I'll just show one more thing before showing all 8 of the cards that I've made. And this is my new strip die set that I will be using often. There's a link to it below if, like me, you have to have it. I popped them through my electric die cutting machine, also linked below, and here's how it turns out. I sadly lost some video footage here too, but it's a slimline die, but really it just means that we have really long strips to play with. So here's all the cards, starting with previously made cards. This one I fussy cut flowers and added uniquely creative lace doilies. I cut one of them in half to use in 2 spots on this card. I also inked around the card with Seedless Preserves Distress Oxide ink. I think I've shown this card in a previous video on tearing, as it has a couple of torn layers to it, but I've added vellum creative cuts under the sentiment. Let me know if you'd like me to do a video tutorial on double layering torn edges like this. This was a super quick card. I heat embossed the sentiment and added some splatters, doodling, pearls and flowers. And now onto the cards I made with just the one sheet of designer paper. Here's the first one you saw me make on the video. Let me know what you think of slimline cards and if you'd like to see more in future videos. Here's the second card you saw me make, and that was pretty quick and easy too. This next one has a lot more detail and I love how it turned out. I fussy cut the flowers from the papers and then I curled them to create a lot more shape in each flower and leaf. I added some black soot distress oxide to water to create some splatters too in the background. The bottom part of the card is still the same paper, I just turned it over to the other side as they're double-sided papers. The sentiment came from the same sheet too. It's on the bottom strip that you'd usually throw away. This is probably my least favorite card, but this was just using the last of the paper, so again I turned it over to use the lilac side. I doodled around it in white and added some of the die cut strips. I didn't have enough large strips of the paper to create a full background, so I chopped them up and left gaps in between, and I love how this turned out. Having the extra white on the card gives it a really fresh feel, I think. The center rectangle is the last little bit of the 12 by 12 sheet I had left, apart from a couple of strips which I've used inside some of the cards. I love it when nothing goes to waste. So I hope you loved watching this video and that it gave you some design ideas and ways to look at a sheet of 12 by 12 paper a bit differently. I'd so appreciate you giving this video a thumbs up if you did like it, and I love reading any comments, and please don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos. Happy crafting and bye for now.